Hi, folks. There are many questions people are asking themselves now about who is really winning this war between Russia and the collective West in Ukraine after 1.5 year of direct conflict since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And after the attempt of the coup in Russia, many are saying that Russia is not a state, is a rogue state, is a failed state. There is no really power structure to sustain the whole country, which I think that is not accurate. I have already mentioned it yesterday, the interview by Viktor Orban telling that the state in Russia is completely different than here in Europe, and that the control was never lost in that period by Putin, and is a structure involving secret services, military, and police. And many say that the state is crumbling and will sometime sooner than later collapse in Russia. I mean, we have been listening this for years, since minimum 2014. But here there is the completely not serious outcome of the mainstream media. There is one journalist that I follow. I keep insisting following him on Twitter, and I find it kind of even funny, because I appreciate his work as academic. I have read a book, The Dawn of Eurasia, by this Bruno Massange. And I like the book, actually, and since then I have followed him on Twitter. But I see that there are different, completely different perspectives on Twitter. I think he is kind of joking, and his articles on the New Statesman they are not serious, and the books are serious. Well, doesn't matter. The guy said today that the state doesn't exist anymore in Russia, because imagine that that Bogdanov, that secret services from Ukraine have told him that Putin has no more control of the state. Well, because of that, he says the state of a country with 1,000 years doesn't exist anymore. Well, this is the kind of journalism we get through nowadays. But the question is still, it is who is winning. There is this idea that Russia has not evolved on the ground, but this is a matter of where do you want to see the things. No, I mean. For one part, you have yes, Russia has not even conquered the whole Donbass area, but has already taken I don't know how many square kilometers in Ukraine. This is big, very huge territory, and the fact is that the European Union, the United States, Great Britain, and the collective West, 40 countries, putting so much money, billions, dozens of billions in weapons, sacrificing their economies, their people, their enterprises, their societies, are not winning one state, Russia. This is a fact. You can look either from one part or the other. I see this part much more impressive than seeing Russia losing a war. Russia is not losing this war. Russia is not evolving and conquering all the territories they have proposed to themselves. But look at one thing: don't never forget that Russia has not declared war on Ukraine. That might change sometime, and then the figure will be completely different. And what will Europe, the European Union, and NATO will do in this event? So who is sacrificing their economies more than the other? Here in Europe, I have seen much better days than right now. Today there was a tweet by Viktor Orban, was a meme joking about the European Commission. He asks, where is the money? Already 2 years after, where is the money for the budget for 7 years? It has already disappeared. 7 years budget in not even 2 years, because of this war. People, this will be very serious in the next times here in Europe. And you are seeing in France these movements now in Nanterre, in Toulouse, in the great region of Paris, are not just immigration problem, is a social economic problem. Was already started back 4 years ago with Gilets jaunes, the yellow vests, and won't stop. It won't stop. You have here completely different. You have a parallel reality in Europe. Everything is controlled by the media. They try to convince you that Macron or Scholz are popular. They are not popular. Macron has not even 25% popularity. He was voted by 22% of the population, with the problem that the other 80% hates him. And in Russia, you have completely the opposite. There was no massive support to this coup in last week, because population are mostly with the president, things that we don't have in any country in Europe. And there is one article. Unfortunately, it is in German. I don't know if there is a translation available in English, by Jochen Mitschka in the Apolut.net German website, with interesting articles on geopolitical issues, but it's in German. And the guy says that at the beginning there was a bad calculation by the Russians on this military operation in Ukraine. And after that, they have reinvented themselves. They have changed a lot of concepts, strategy, tactics. They learned a lot with this war. I will put here the article down below if you can translate yourselves and see. I will put the original link to the German article, because it's very good and is very well with the points, very well structured. By the other side, the Americans and the Europeans, but especially the Americans, they were obsessed since the beginning with the strategic defeat from the Russians, and they are still desperately with this idea, and they haven't changed nothing. There was a miscalculation by the Europeans, by NATO, by the Americans, and they haven't changed. They are obsessed with this victory by the Ukrainians that is impossible, by the way. And there is the problem. Where is the problem starts and ends? We are in a stalemate. there is no war by the Russians. Don't forget that the Russians haven't declared war on Ukraine. They might do so, and this change everything. But right now, if there was a ceasefire, a truce, and everyone goes their homes, there was a lot of money lost by the Europeans in this matter. There is one other thing that is important. It's somehow related to this. The Europeans now are trying to push, actually not to push, to grab Serbia to the European Union with promises and all this kind of things to disrupt the relation between Serbia and Russia, and in a minor scale with China. And they are doing it with some success. I mean, they have decreased the relations between Serbia and Russia in terms of military, energy, and things like that. And they try to disrupt the Chinese New Silk Road on the Danube and that area of the Balkans, where the Chinese have invested so much. Pushing, but complicating also the situation in Kosovo, bringing now new energy suppliers like Azerbaijan, which is a dictatorship anyway. I mean, Aliyev, some people might like him or not, is very well known, non-aligned movement, everything. But if you cannot sanction Russia because of the human rights and then do the same with Azerbaijan, and who as a problem with Armenia anyway. I mean, so this is complicated. This is a very complicated area where the Europeans, especially this woman von der Leyen, and the Germans and the French are meddling and messing around. This is not a good idea. We know, we have already talked about the Turks there. It will bring some new events in the near future, that area. Right now they are trying to use the Serbs against the Russians. I don't think it's a very cooperative idea, but it shows how desperate European Union, this machine, this new Soviet machine here in Europe, are working, converting Europe in a war economy. So, for example, there were agreements on defense between Serbia and China, and Serbia and Russia, and now the Europeans and the Americans are pushing them to new agreements to overcome the relations between Serbia and the other partners in the East, bringing new weapons, for American weapons, French weapons, Rafale fighter jets, and everything. So this is where actually France is now betting all its economy in weapons, in things like this. This is the outcome of a disastrous. I cannot say any other word for this disaster. Has been this last 1.5 years, since even before, but since the Russian operation in Ukraine. Why the hell these guys in Europe wanted to meddle in the problems of Ukraine, when Ukraine was for 1,000 years always part of that area, the sphere of influence of the Russians? Well, the price we are paying, and this is very well seen now. corroborated by what is happening in France. Let's keep an eye on what is going on in France, because they will sooner or later will spread to other countries. I'm sure about that, unfortunately. But to know more of these things, stay tuned, come here later and see the updates. See you then.